Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome, of course, to Wellington, Colorado, where we perform all of our highway range tests. And welcome to a car I have been dreading to range test for a long time. The reason is this thing has 516 miles of EPA rated range, which means it sounds like I'm gonna have to sit at 70 miles an hour in our loop style test for a really long time to see how far this thing goes on a charge. I'll first take you on a tour of the car. I'll walk you through our testing procedures. And then of course, we're going to charge it up to 100% and head out and see how far we can go in a loop style highway range test at 70 miles an hour constant in the Lucid Air Grand Touring. This is a 2022 Lucid Air Grand Touring. It is the range spec. There was at early start of production a Dream Edition range that came out, but very few units were built and those had a tiny bit more range. So the Dream Edition had the same battery pack architecture, the same number of modules, the same number of cells, a slight chemistry change, which allowed 116, I think, kilowatt hours usable out of the pack. This one is the production version, I would say mass production version. I don't know if you want to add mass in there or not, but they're at least, these are the ones you can buy, and it's 112 kilowatt hour battery pack. That Lucid claims is pretty much usable, so we'll see what we can get out of it. It'd be kind of interesting. 2 permanent magnet motors, some of the best motor and battery technology Lucid claims in the industry. I'm really looking forward to trying out the range. This one is the longest range car you can get, 516 miles of EPA rated range. It is the farthest, the longest range electric car on the market today. It should be really interesting. I love this spec because we have the 19-inch wheels on it. So you can see here, they sit pretty far in. It's a 245 section tire, so pretty skinny tires on it as well. And that is all for maximum range. I think most Lucid owners are actually going to go for the bigger wheels. I believe they're 21s, and I will do a comparison of these wheels to the 21-inch wheels, which I'm going to swap onto this car later for some performance testing and look to see about how much range loss you would get with the bigger wheels. That'll be kind of interesting. $154,000 in this particular configuration, black on black, Lucid Air Grand Touring. And I've made some other videos with this car, so check it out. This is all about how far we can go on a charge in our 70 mile an hour test. Should be really, really neat. The whole car is optimized for aerodynamic efficiency. Efficiency is the key for this car, at least Lucid claims. So I don't know, will we see over 450 miles in this test? Again, remember, EPA is a mixed cycle test. We will see. So what's interesting is yesterday I actually was here attempting the range test. So this is day number 2, second attempt. And what happened was everything was perfect. I set the tire pressures, washed the car, came over here, charged it to full. And as soon as I got on the highway, boom, rainstorm. I was like, oh, bummer. But this car is such an important car that we test properly. Honestly, every EV testing I'm a little bit particular about. So we canceled it. I'm back again today. Let's talk conditions. We have maybe a couple miles an hour more wind. I think we have a 5 mile per hour wind, but that's why we run a loop style test, because it's actually a headwind one way and a tailwind the other way. So hopefully that will counteract. Still almost perfect conditions. It's warm outside-ish. It's about 70 degrees outside, perfect temperature. I drove the car hard over here to warm up the battery pack, manually preconditioning it so that it's all up to the right temperature. We're DC fast charging it from about 75% all the way up to full. So that will be perfectly good. We'll get the battery nice and toasty. Again, a warm battery means the most amount of usable energy out of it. We're then going to leave here in Wellington, Colorado, jump onto I-25, which is literally right in front of me. That's why we do all of our range tests here. Set the cruise control to 72 miles per hour. 72 indicated on the screen is a 70 GPS accurate in this particular car. It reads over by 2. And then we're going to go up to Cheyenne, into Nebraska, heading east on I-80. Then we'll turn around when we hit about 55% state of charge, something like that, and work our way back to here. Once we get closer back to the charger, as always, I'll run it up and down the highway here closer to the charging station, and we'll pull in completely dead. Let's hope we don't run out, but I always try and get everything I can out of the battery packs. So that's how the testing goes. I always have to walk everyone through it because a lot of people don't know how we do our testing. and it is, I think, at least the most repeatable, the most comparable testing method in the real world. It leaves very little room for variability. Of course, weather plays a bigger role, but making it a loop style test, a constant speed, at least this is the best we can do to make things repeatable. So, Lucid Air Grand Touring, what do you guys think it'll do? I have no idea. I'm hoping to see a big number. I think it's going to be the longest range car I've ever tested. The one downside I do want to mention before we head out is there is no lane centering in this car yet. I'm still waiting on the software update to hit this car to allow for Dream Drive. And so by the time this video goes up, it might already be software updated to the cars, but at the time of testing, this is going to be a long drive and I have to manually steer it. Not the end of the world at all, but you know, when you start comparing this car to other vehicles that we've run in range testing, Tesla, Mercedes, even Rivian, we always run them on driver assistance. Here though, I'll just be using the adaptive cruise control portion, hopefully with not much adaptation because we just like to sit at 70 constant. Let's just make sure all conditions are good while we top it up. I do want to mention yesterday was I full charged the car and it completed at 98%. So it went 95, 6, 7, 8, and then it went, oh, I'm actually done at 100%. We've seen this from a few other cars where BMSs aren't totally calibrated. We'll see if it happens again today. It will be kind of interesting. Of course, as always, I'm live streaming the test. You can head to our Out of Spec motoring channel and watch the entire live stream if you feel so inclined. But we are at 91% right now, 60 kilowatts going, another 30 minutes. This car has very little buffer in the battery pack, so it takes a long time to top charge. Very similar to Tesla in that style right there. They let you use almost all the battery pack, and then Lucid recommends an 80% daily charging limit to preserve the life of the battery. If you don't want to watch our other videos, I'll just note a couple highlights here. Look at that huge glass roof, absolutely gorgeous. Be very cool. Of course, climate control will be set between 68 and 72 degrees on auto, same as every test that we do. Nice back glass roof as well, huge rear seat. Wonderful, wonderful package here. So let's let this thing complete. We'll reset the trip calculation, hit the road, and cruise at 70 for what seems like it'll be an eternity. We are at 97%, which means the car could complete any time because it hit, interesting, nice bike, because this thing hit 98% and then went complete. And we're at 98% right now. That was yesterday, but it's still charging. So we're gonna see if maybe it just needed a little BMS calibration or not, but I'm keeping an eye on it to see if it completes. Alyssa has shown up in the e-tron just to get some electrons, and she swapped me for some snacks for our mailbox key. So let's see how things are going over here. Hey there.
You're back.
How's it going?
Good.
Nice. You just charging up a bit?
Yeah, just a little bit, maybe to like 50 or 60%, depending on how long.
Yeah, because you're pretty low. What are you at now? 22% you pulled in the low teens or so?
Yeah.
Something like that. All right, well, you enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to be driving all day.
Okay.
All right, see you later. All right, now let's take a look. We're at 98%, still charging 17 kilowatts. From what we saw yesterday, it can, yep, this thing can finish up anytime. So I'm just going to keep a sharp eye. Alyssa brought me some snacks. I told her that adds weight and kills range, but it really doesn't make much of a difference. All the pressures are set. Everything's good to go. We're going to get this AC seat off. We're already going to get the climate control to 68 on auto. So 60, well, I want to go to 68. 67 to 69. What? I've had this thing at 68 before. There we go. Weird little bugs here in the Lucid Air. So let's juice it up and I'll let you know when it completes. And we just completed at 100% state of charge. I've shut off climate control just to reduce drag. It actually went all the way up to 99% this time. We saw 6 kilowatts until it completed there. So let's unplug. How far do you think again? 430, you said? 436? All right, let's see if you're right. Bye-bye. So let's go in here. Let's go to settings, vehicle, trip. Let's reset trip A, fully reset. We also have since last charge. It's all happening. Let's go to climate, on, 68 degrees, auto, into reverse, 100% state of charge indicated. See you later, Alyssa. Bye, e-tron. Let's do this. Off we go then. Got to put the seatbelt on as always, got to be safe. So the plan is get it up onto I-25. We're then going to go hit 70 miles an hour by the time we hit the end of the on-ramp. The one thing I want to do though is see what this thing thinks we're charged up to, but the software is completely bricked. Don't know what's going on. Oh, I think maybe that cable may have been touching. Distance 510 miles projected. And that's again based off EPA number. We're going all the way to 0% at the end of the test. We got to drain this thing till it doesn't want to move anymore. If we run out, we run out. No regen. Battery is totally full. Let's just gently get up to speed. We want to be careful with our accelerations. See you later, Alyssa. There she is down there. We're going to go through the light, turn left onto I-25, hit 70 by the end of the on-ramp, and see what we can get. We're just going to be cruising all day. It's going to be a long one. All right, let's just squeeze onto the highway here. Nice, gentle corners, gentle accelerations, limiting the amount of heat loss. Traffic looks totally empty today, which is what we're looking for. Going to hit 70 miles an hour right at the end of the on-ramp. There we are, 70, 71, and 72 indicated. Again, is 70 miles an hour constant. So here we are locking it in, 72 miles an hour. And you'll just see me sitting here for the next few hours. As always, I'll update you throughout the drive as to my impressions of the car, how far we've gone throughout each percentage range. The hard part will be determining where to turn around, but we'll get to that when we get there. For now, I got some Red Bull, some Tostitos, some pretzels, ready to rock and roll. Gonna limit the amount of fluid intake because I don't want to have to stop to pee. But, you know, if I have to, then we have to. Down to 99% state of charge. And let's cruise. And welcome to Wyoming. Couple little drizzles right here. What is going on? But it's looking like blue skies off where we want to go. Oh no, Wyoming, 93%. That's a good sign. That's the highest I've ever seen coming into Wyoming. We're gonna push through these couple little drizzles, but I'm not looking forward to canceling if it gets worse. And just about a half a mile to 1 mile later, we are out of the rain. We're gonna keep the test going. I don't think that's gonna affect it. The road was dry the whole time, and I think we're looking pretty good. But if it happens, you know, throughout the test, of course, we're gonna have to end it. I think that was just a little scare, but we're sticking true. And still at 93% into Wyoming. That is good. Most cars are right around 90% state of charge right there. So really looking forward to seeing what this thing will do. Of course, our efficiency isn't that high. The first bit of the test always has a slight elevation gain, but of course we gain it on the way back. So yep, continuing on into Wyoming. We are cruising through eastern Wyoming. We're just about to hit 4,000 miles on the odometer on this car. I think a really nice balance between having the gearbox broken in. There we are, 4,000 miles. Between having the gearbox broken in, the seals broken in, and of course, not having too much battery degradation. I think that's a really nice compromise. So, yep, about to cross into the great state of Nebraska right up around these corners. And we'll just keep on cruising. Perfect conditions, no wind, wide open roads, sitting at 70 miles an hour, 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour so far. This test is just gonna go on and on and on. You now join us at 75% state of charge, and by us, I mean the live stream viewers and me. It's a car full of people. I don't know how we were able to fit a couple hundred people in this Lucid Air, but somehow we have. 75% state of charge, 113 miles driven, 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour. The most efficient I've ever had on this test up to this point. Again, I would love to run an original Ioniq. That's a very efficient car, but for a large sedan like this, Lucid definitely have some magic. You don't need to convince me. 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour at 70 constant in one direction is looking great. We have the live stream guys, me actually monitoring some storms around us, so we might have to take some loops early or later, depending, but basically we're gonna try and slip through all the rain. Perfect conditions, really bright, sunny, wide open roads, but some storm cells kind of in the area. So we're just gonna be moving around those with the help of these guys. Nice Defender coming up in Pangea green with the white roof. Gotta love that. With Steelies, wonderful. So it's a 4-cylinder one. That's cool. And yeah, let's just keep on motoring. 75%, well over 100 miles driven. Can't believe that. Just popping off the highway here to make a loop, although I'm not totally sure if we're able to loop back onto the highway here. Let's see how this all plays out. We'll have to see. We may have to continue going the way we were, although it looks totally closed if you ask me. There is a frontage road up here which I can run at 70 miles an hour at until it merges back up with the highway. So let's get it back up to 70 and just continue down these little straight roads. As long as we're doing 70, it's fine with me. And here we are, just running parallel to the highway on the frontage road, actually cruising at 70 miles an hour. Not the end of the world. We'll just link back up with the highway up over here in a couple miles, and then we'll be good to go. We'll know just to avoid this side of I-80 for future loops. I don't know if you guys can see the trucks on the highway just over there to the left, but that's the highway, and we have a wide open frontage road, so it makes no difference to me. This is perfect. And we'll just link back up after the end of that construction zone, and this couldn't have worked out better. This is perfect. As you guys know, we've just been looping around on I-80, and what a beautiful, beautiful sky we have here. Just slipping through the rainstorms and clouds. So far, no issues. Crossing back into Wyoming. I'm sure we'll end up back into Nebraska at some point again. Typically, I'd go all the way out to maybe even the end of Nebraska. Probably not that far, but this thing's got some range. But we're just having a loop around some storms. Doesn't matter either way. So welcome to beautiful Wyoming. That pavement change was the swap into Wyoming. Here you can see the sign that says, "Welcome to Wyoming." Love it. Wyoming is one of my favorite states. We are at 60% state of charge. I'll update you when we're closer to 50%. And yep, just cruising along. The clouds are looking a little bit darker up ahead. We probably could continue. Everyone on the live stream says it's actually not raining at all up there, but I thought, well, it's guaranteed blue skies behind us if you look this way. So I think that's sort of our plan, is just to keep it blue sky, a little loop back. We're at 56% state of charge. You can see a big efficiency hit. That's why we always run a loop style test. We're at 4 miles per kilowatt hour, still insanely efficient. But elevation plays a big difference. That's why we have the same start and end point, so it counteracts it. Just gentle, gentle accelerations up the hill here. And let's get it back up to 70. We will drive this way until we get, I think, closer to that exit with the construction on it. And I think that seems like a pretty good plan. So let's merge on over. No one's on the road. Rainbow over there. That's beautiful. Very nice. Locked back in at 70 miles an hour, GPS accurate. Let's keep motoring. We have reached 200 miles under our belt so far. Sometimes when we're getting close to this number, I am all the way back in Colorado running EVs out. We're at very low percent, but right now 200 miles traveled on the nose, 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour, and 54% battery remaining. We'll see how the rest plays out, but definitely looking at over 400 miles on this test. How close to 500 will it actually go? That's the big question. I don't think we'll see 500, but I think we're going to see mid-4s. I don't know. Time will tell. But have to say, very quiet cabin. No wind noise. Oh, very little road noise. You do hear tire impact noises on bumps and undulations, but that's to be expected. Not much you can do about that. Just a cruiser. So nice. The bladder's holding up well. Haven't had to stop for a restroom break at all. And the seats are very comfortable for long distance. Very comfortable seats. And I'm not using the massage function on this trip, but the massaging is pretty good as well. So nice job to Lucid to build such a comfortable long distance cruiser, especially for their first EV. This is a way more comfortable cruiser than I have the newest Model S than the Model S. This thing blows it away cruising on the highway. We are now at 50% state of charge, 217.9 miles into the drive at the moment. Absolutely beautiful conditions. Couldn't ask for a better day. We had to do a little bit of dodging of rainstorms, but just perfect conditions, no traffic, absolutely amazing. I'm thinking we're going to see 440, 450 miles at the end of this test. Again, we're at a little bit higher elevation now than when we started. So maybe we'll see upwards of 450 closer on. But take a look at this, a whole convoy of military vehicles coming towards us. That is pretty freaking sweet to see. Gotta love that. Looks like they're all built on the Ford Dually Super Duty chassis. That's pretty cool. With a police escort. Well, let's hope we don't get stuck behind them, but we'll just keep looping around on I-80 until it's time to head back to Wellington. Perfect skies ahead. I think we did the best job we could dodging all the storms. A huge shout out to Sandy in the live stream for helping us with all of that. We're at 29% state of charge, 305.3 miles. We crossed 300 miles at about 31% state of charge, and we have 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour as we make the climb into Cheyenne. But then, of course, our efficiency will go up on the way back down to Wellington. So really looking forward to the results. Really pleased that we are at least able to avoid this much weather. We have had the perfect conditions today. We're all just trying to figure out the discrepancy, you know, basically as to this range test versus other range tests that we've seen. But this is what the car does. You guys see what's going on here. It's all live streamed. It's about as good of conditions as I can get it to keep the car moving at 70. And this is what the car is wanting to do, at least. So loving it so far. Well, if you take a look at the weather ahead, I got an update for you as to what we're going to do. I forgot to check in at 25% state of charge, but we're at 328.1 miles, 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour at 23% state of charge. We've been figuring out our plan. There is a storm system crossing over I-25 South, which is where we need to go. So in 5 miles, what we're actually going to do is go north as far as we can until the car says, hey, you pretty much got to turn around now to make it to your destination. And the reason is we want to give this storm system enough time to get across I-25. You can see I'm staying on the dry pavement section. It just came through here. So we're trying to let that storm cross so we don't have rain during this test, or at least minimizing the amount of rain. So we're going to go to the right, up I-25 north where there's blue skies, at least for a bit. Let this situation take care of itself. Hopefully it moves quickly. And then we're going to try and blast through it to get to the other side. We are on I-25 heading north, and our plan worked perfectly. According to Sandy and the others in the live stream, it sounds like that storm cell south of us has completely broken up, and we're good to flip around and head back closer to Cheyenne. We have just dodged the storms today. It's been truly wonderful. So perfect conditions up here north of Cheyenne, just a little bit. Absolutely gorgeous. And we are going to flip around at the next exit in 2.4 miles, and I'll update you as we get closer to Cheyenne. Absolutely gorgeous views off to the right. You can see that rain that we are dodging, which worked out perfectly. So this was all just being rained on only about an hour ago, and we are looking nice and clear. All of the rain clouds right on either side of us, but we found the perfect window to just slip on through. So huge thanks again to Sandy for making this test a success. We're going to be losing some elevation going down into Colorado, so I'm expecting to see our efficiency increase. And yeah, really not sure what to expect at the moment, but I'm thinking definitely over 400 miles will be seen today. And this is where we started the test, just over here, and we are actually at 420.5 miles driven. And what we're doing is we're actually going to do one more loop up on the highway. We have 4% state of charge remaining. I think that's enough to make it one exit north and one exit down. I'd like to get as much time at 70 miles an hour as possible. Let's just try and scooch through here and make these lights. Looks like we're able to. Very good. And then we can always do, if it doesn't look like we can make it back once we get up to that, I forget how many miles it is to the next exit up, we can hop on the frontage road and cruise back. But definitely think there's more in this thing at 70 miles an hour without questions. I'm hitting the throttle the same. I don't feel any reduction of performance. And so what we're going to do is get it back up to 70 miles an hour and just keep running it down. But I'm going to go for as long as I can at this speed before we run it all the way out over there. Now at 2% state of charge, still cruising along. We're about, I don't know, 2.7 miles from our exit. The car says charge now. This should be our last run on the highway at 70 miles an hour. I'm then going to run it up and down the frontage roads until it's completely out. So I'll give you the 70 mile an hour number, and then I'll give you the full final number at the end of the test. I've just kicked it off 70 miles an hour. We're exiting for the last time, 427.6 at 70 miles an hour. What I'm going to do now is run it up and down the frontage road. So we're going to go on the other side, run it up and down that one, which I can kind of just cruise at 55, 65, 70 miles an hour at. So we still keep the speed up. As we get really low down on charge, I'll actually head over to this side closer to the charger. That way, if I run out, we can kind of push it into the parking lot is the idea. So let's head over and run this thing up and down some frontage roads to squeeze every last drop out of the battery pack. Well, we have about 3 miles left to go back to the charger. That's wide open acceleration. It can barely climb any of the hills. So I'm not sure if I believe this 4 miles left on the dash. I think the car is getting really low, lower than it thinks. Based off of that pedal feel, that's really not much performance. Shows me we're right at the bottom of the pack. So I'm trying to be as gentle as possible, but I cannot go more than 45 miles an hour. I'm trying to spike a little regen in just to keep it coasting. Dang, it shows 4 miles left. I don't believe that. We're heading, let's hope we can get up and over the highway to get to the charger. That's going to be the big question. Can we do it? Climate control shut off, I should have mentioned, at 4% state of charge. I didn't actually even notice it was off. It wasn't working that hard. But I've noticed that in other Lucid testing that 4% is the limit. So we are pretty much full throttle, 51%. Yeah, don't want to bottom brake the pack, so you can see I'm trying to go. But let's just go neutral for a second, see if we can coast on up to the bridge here. I think that's going to be the best thing for the battery pack. So I'm really trying not to run the car out of charge, but it says 3 miles left, 1% state of charge. But the other day when I ran it out of charge, it had a lot more performance given the same reading. So it shows me the BMS is totally not fully calibrated, would be my guess. I'm full throttle, 39 miles an hour. I may have miscalculated this one by a couple miles. We're only 1 mile away from the charger, something like that. But look, I don't think we're going to make it to the top of this hill. 37, 36 miles an hour, losing range. I'm trying not to floor it, but it's doing such little power, like it's barely outputting anything. And yeah, I'll throw it in neutral at the top to try and save the BMS. But I don't think we're going to make it over the hill to the charger with this performance. So let's just try it. We don't have far to go. I can see the end. The end is in sight. But definitely had a lot more performance given the same readings the other day when I did the charging test. So let's just throw it in neutral here and see if we can coast it as far as possible. Okay, may have just blown a red light to make it back, but I think we are at the crest of the hill, and if we can get through this next turning light, we should be good. The car shows 3 miles. There's no way. We've driven like many miles at 3 miles remaining. That's the charger we need to make it to. I think worst case, we can kind of push it in from here. I'm just gonna crack a window because it is getting toasty in here with the suspense. Now don't shut down on me now, Lucid. We're going to the charger. We can do this thing. No climate control is on. Again, it shuts itself off at about 4 or 5%. Come on, light. Come on, Lucid. Can we do it? Green light. I'm going to be gentle on the accelerator. Yes, through the intersection. At least at this point, we're not going to be blocking anything important, I hope. I am full throttle. That is everything it has. There's just no way. Got to reconnect the live stream. Get out of the way. Move. Faster. Around the backside. I think we're going to make it back. I am full throttle. This is everything it has. Full beans to the charger. Spike another hit of regen. I can't believe it's showing 3 miles. There's no way. This thing I had at 0 and it would beat a Kona EV off the line. And we made it. Holy smokes. That's crazy. So let's just inch up a little bit. And I think it has no idea what's in the battery. Again, we drove many miles at 3 miles to empty. And similar to this thing, when it completed charging the other day at 97% or 98%, and then went, whoa, 100, I think it's thinking there's 1%, and then it's actually going to go, oh, no, there's nothing left in there. So 435.5 miles. That is the number. And 4 miles per kilowatt hour. So you can see since last charge, 435.5 miles and 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour. And then we have trip A, 435.5 miles and 4.0 miles per kilowatt hour using 109. So this number and this number must be referencing two different calculations. I don't know what to make of it, but I do know that this number is not that number, but these two are the same. So something, and this one's increasing. How are we now at 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour? Very, very interesting. Maybe what it's doing is it's, maybe this one is actually factoring in our charging session. For sure, this one is the accurate one. This one might be factoring our current charge. It might be a bug in the software because we're adding power to it. Well, it was fun. My friend Brian came over to meet me at the charger at the end, and he's the guy who let us borrow his Model 3 with FSD. I think over a year ago now we did that video. And he said, hey, do another Model 3 FSD update. Because we sort of weren't that kind to FSD at all. We were like, this is so sketchy. And he said, yeah, Tesla didn't take it away from him, so that's cool. Anyway, charged the car up to 25%, and there you go. You saw the final stats, 435.5. Didn't Alyssa guess 436 at the beginning of this video? How far do you think again? 430, you said? 436? That is incredible. She must have come back from the future. That's pretty impressive. 109 kilowatt hour used. Here's my thinking on that. This car is 4,364 miles now after the test. We started at 39 something. The thing is, Lucid claims less than 1 kilowatt hour buffer. That's at least what I remember from the Dream Edition. I think it's the same here. So if you take, let's just say 1 kilowatt hour off of 112, that's 111 kilowatt hours. We pulled 109 out of it, and I would guess there's probably 2 kilowatt hours gone just from degradation, since this car was new. I drove it pretty hard. I charged it, DC charged it for the last 2,000 miles. So that seems pretty reasonable to me. Most degradation happens early on in the car and then smooths out. So there you go, the range test. I think we got every last drop out of it. That's what the car will do in my test. I highly recommend you go checking out my friend Tom's test. He did the Dream Edition range, got 500 miles on the nose in a 70 mile an hour loop style test. Same wheels and tires, same setup of the car and everything. I don't know why there's such a big discrepancy between the two. Again, I really think we got everything out of the car. We had great conditions. If anything, we're even doing our test at higher elevation, which means less air density. We had less than 1 mile of rain. The whole test was perfect. Other than that, I mean, I think maybe that would have taken certainly a small impact, but nothing that would make a world of a difference. Maybe 1/10 of 1 mile, I would think, something like that. So there you go. That's my thoughts. You can see this nice ambient lighting above my head. Going to be cruising. Oh wow, I'm going 70. I can go faster than 70 now. Adaptive cruise goes up to 90 miles an hour. It's such a great cruiser. Personally, I'm really impressed with the range. It's the longest range electric car I've ever tested. 435 miles. Insane. That is 100 miles more, roughly, than the next less range car that I've ever tested. So, big range, big charging. This is a road tripping monster. Still haven't hit the restroom. I am pretty impressed, even though I drank quite a bit, that I can hold the tank that long. That was awesome. I guess I'll use the restroom when I get home. That was, the only reason I bring that up is that was everyone's biggest question on the live stream. Have you peed yet? So, off we go to home. That's the end of the video. I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comments below. Again, 4 miles per kilowatt hour at 70 miles an hour, very efficient, 250 watt hour per mile. That's more efficient than anything I've tested recently. I'm gonna try and get my hands on a Model S long range with the Aero wheels and run that car pretty soon. I think that'd be interesting. We got a lot more testing to do, but that's what the Lucid Air did in our test. Pretty confident about it as well, even though it was showing 3 miles left, 1%. I think the BMS just didn't know what was going on. I think we were at 0. The thing was out, just wide open throttle for like 3 minutes straight. That was everything it had. Thanks for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video, and we'll see you in another one soon. Bye-bye.